Hi everyone, welcome to my studio. My name is Dianne and here on my channel I share art journaling and collage journaling, junk journaling, and just different mixed media type projects. And tonight it is homecoming night for my daughter. It's Saturday night. It's been quite a whirlwind of the past few days, and I thought it would be nice to just do something relaxing, and I think I'm gonna break out my paints. So I have got these little pieces of paper here that I used for a different project where I had die cut some flowers out that I needed, and I've had them sitting on my work area for about a week or so, and I thought it would be fun to place those onto some of my little ATCs, artist trading cards, and just kind of see what happened. So I think I'm going to do that tonight. So I hope that you stay and you join me, and we will see how I can turn something like this that is ready for the trash can, and I'm going to make something beautiful out of it. So let's get over to my work area and we will get started. See? Okay, so here are these little pieces that I've got, and this is just cardstock. I needed to cut out some flowers for a different little project, and I thought that these would be fun to put on just some of my little mixed media cards. And I've got a whole stack of them right here that I have started on already, and a lot of these are just what I use is watercolor paper for my base, and I usually then put some sort of paper on there. Like this one has some ledger paper, and then on top of that I glue pieces of deli paper that I have used, that I have scraped off extra paint on and things like that, let paint drip on them and just stuff like that. And so that's what all of these are. These are ones that I've gotten started. These are actually pieces of pattern paper that I had glued on. This was for another project a long time ago, and I never did anything with them. Oh look, Life Book 2014. So maybe I should just use these. Finally get them, do something with them. Let's see how many there are. I know these are just pattern paper, because I know that all this is going to get covered up. Probably, well, most likely all of the background's going to get covered up, so I might just use those. Okay. And I have finally gotten my good old regular video camera out instead of using my cell phone, which is what I've been using to make a lot of my videos recently, just to get me to where I was making videos again. It was easy for me to use my phone, and so I have been using my phone for all of my videos recently, and I struggle with the focus on it because sometimes my phone will catch up and focus and sometimes it doesn't. So got my good old camera back out, and hopefully we won't have any problems with focusing and you can see good and all of that jazz. So I've got these. I don't know how many I'll end up using. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I like doing these in groups. I don't think I'll get that many out here. There's not that much. So let's do 4. There. All right. And I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so I can get all 4 cards in here. Because I like, whenever I am doing cards like this, I like having them all right here where I can see them. And I work on all 4 of them pretty much at the same time. the first thing I'm going to do is glue these little pieces down. And I'm just going to use good old Mod Podge. I use it a lot. I haven't ever had any problems with it, so that's just what I keep on using. And I'm really not prepared for this at all. So there's going to be a lot of me going back and forth to pick up things that I need, supplies that I need, because I actually just now, as I'm doing this, I'm realizing that I don't have a jar of water, and I'm going to need that for sure. I'm just going to stick these on, and we will see what happens here. I also just remembered that I made a coffee earlier, and I think that was probably an hour ago, and I completely forgot about it. Now it might be too late to have it. It's 9 o'clock. It's decaf, but still. And I don't mind if these aren't glued on here perfectly flat, because since I like to use paint that runs and drips and things like that, I don't mind these little pieces not being totally flat on here, because that just gives the paint another place to go in and out and around and underneath and things like that. Which is why I like using these little bits and pieces that are left over, because the paint's gonna puddle in these areas, and hopefully we'll get a cool effect. Let's see, where can we put this on? Alright, so I'm going to go get some water. I need to get my glue gun, and I might go grab my coffee. I'm going to let these sit here. And we will go from there. Okay, so these are dry now. Pretty much. There might be a couple little wet spots on there, but that's okay. Not a big deal. So I think what I'm going to do, just because all of this color is really throwing me off, I'm going to just go over all of these just with a nice little layer of gesso, and just get a kind of a clean slate here with what we're working on, because I'm not sure if really any of these colors on here are gonna inspire me at all just yet, so especially since these are so not matching with each other as far as colors go. Well, there we go. I did get my coffee. I might regret that later, but oh well. I'm just gonna put just a really light coat on here. I don't care if it doesn't completely cover everything. I really have no idea where this is going to go whatsoever. So, your guess is as good as mine, which is pretty much how I roll when it comes to my mixed media. I really got way too much out. I don't know if I can get it back in the bottle or not. Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, I'll probably end up using it later on anyway. If not, I will scratch it in, I will scrape it into my art journal where I put all my leftover paint. I do know I need to put a piece of paper down, because I always work on something so that I can drip and carry on. And then I'll actually use this paper later on another project. So let's see here. I'm going to dry this really quick so it's dry. Alright, so while I was drying this, I saw pink. And whenever I'm putting down paints, whenever I'm working on my layers on things like this, I always start with the lightest color and get darker. And for some reason, as I was doing this, I heard pink and saw a light pink in my head. So I always try to listen to that little voice inside that tells me things like that. I don't know if I want to try to use up some of my craft paints. I know I've got some good golden. Got some gold in here. Maybe we'll use this. This is what I've got. Golden heavy body acrylic paint. They are my favorite to use. This is light magenta. It's been so long since I've been using my paints. A lot of them don't even want to open, which is really, really, really depressing. So I'm just gonna put some over here, and I think I'm gonna use my catalyst brush, catalyst wedge. Use this guy here. This is a catalyst wedge. Can't see that it says it on there, but it does. You could use even a plastic kitchen spatula, things like that. I'm just going to scrape this across on here. This is just my first layer. You can see how they already look a whole lot different. If I hadn't put that bit of gesso on there, then these would be really, really crazy, probably. Okay, so let's see. I'm wondering if maybe I should go a little bit darker pink. We can put this medium magenta on. It's golden heavy body acrylic paints. I'm not going to put a lot out, just a little bit. I think I might just scrape it across here also. Trying to keep these as stress-free as possible. Not that today was stressful at all. It went very, very well, actually, as far as getting my daughter ready for homecoming and doing all that I needed to do with that. It went wonderful, actually. So it's just the last few days have been pretty long, and after I got her dropped off and we got all the pictures taken, I got home, I just thought, you know, I really need to do something calming and peaceful, and this is, I remembered about those little pieces, cut out these pieces of paper, and thought, you know what, maybe tonight's the night. I'll work on those a little bit and do something creative, nice creative way to end this busy weekend. I'm going to dry these really quick. Okay, so next I think I'm going to put some of this on. And this is acrylic. This is fluid acrylics. This is like that's a fluorescent pink. This is just one that I picked up on clearance at Blix. And it was a big bottle. And I love hot pink. And it was on clearance, so I bought it. So I think I'm just gonna run some of this on here, see what happens. Let it kind of go around into some of these places. I absolutely love hot pink, so you can't go wrong with it. And that will already start getting this to where it starts filling in on some of these places. So I'll set that to the side. Try not to squirt it too much because I want some areas that are darker and some that are a little bit lighter. There. I think next, after I dry this, I'm going to put down some modeling paste through a stencil. So I need to dry these and then we'll be back. Alright, so let's see. I have got this that I'm using right now for modeling paste. I was able to pick this up at Michael's. They had, well, I think I got 40% off of it, which was a good deal. And it's a nice big bottle, so I am going to, since these have got these flowers on here, I'll show you how these are looking right now. I thought it'd be kind of fun to use the leaf stencil that I have that I like to use a lot. I think that'll work. So I think it'll work. We'll see. So I'm just going to place it on here and just put some random little leaf stencils on here with the modeling paste. Boy, this guy's got all sorts of stuff stuck on it. I'm going to get my other one that I seem to like these old plastic ones almost better than those metal ones. Alright. I do want some of it to go off the edge of the card because it just kind of helps ground things a little bit. Alright. So the only thing with modeling paste is that it takes a little while to dry. Okay, so it is the next day now. I got that phone call and ended up talking on the phone for the rest of the night. And I was wanting to finish these, but didn't because I wanted to be sure that I could share it here. So I went ahead. I'm thinking green now to put on, especially because I've got these leaves on here and I want the leaves to be green. So my go-to green is always this. I've been using this color of green probably since I started doing mixed media back in 2011. This is Daily Rowney FW Artist Acrylic Artist Ink, and this is the light green. I have gone through so many bottles of this, and I've got also this green in light green in the golden heavy body acrylics, pretty much the same color. And I was going to use that, but then I remembered that I had bought this one, this light phthalo green. This is also golden heavy body acrylics, and I think just because I'm needing to use my paints, and I got this because I was just trying to branch out a little bit, because usually these lighter colors are not ones that I work with a lot. So I'm going to put this down as my first layer of green, and we will go from there. I also pulled out I've got a darker shade of green in these acrylic inks. This is olive green, and then I've got green gold in the golden fluid acrylics. So for now, I'm going to use some of this light green, and this is where, you know, I've been scraping off my extra, and I love doing this because then I'll use this on other projects. So I also went ahead and grabbed my journal here, and this is one where pretty much all of these pages were started just by me scraping my leftover paint in it. So this is one that is still kind of in progress. This one, I love how this one's coming out. And this is all just leftover paint from other projects that I've been doing. So I think I'll leave this open to one of these. I feel like there might be one back here that might have some greens in it. Something that might work a little bit better. Well, we'll do that. That's a hot mess right now. So, all right. Let's get some of this green going. And this is really, really light, so I don't know how much of this will show up on the end product, but we'll see. And actually it's got quite a bit of blue in it, so I'm just going to scrape this around on here. My trusty little plastic palette knife. And since this modeling paste has the stencil raised up, the paint is pretty much just grabbing on top of those raised up areas, which is another good reason why I let this sit overnight, because the modeling paste was allowed to get completely dry. So that's the only bummer about working with it, is that you have to wait for it to dry, and when you get it on there really thick, it can take a while sometimes. So you can use your heat gun, but that always just seems to dry the top of it. It doesn't really get the inside dry. And now I know for sure that everything on this is completely dry. Alright, so look how just brushing that on there pulled that bit of that flower up, which is why I thought it would be fun to use these. So it just adds a whole nother this level of dimension to these cards. So just a little bit there. I think I might put this on here. Okay, so I'm going to dry these, which is that's the other thing about, with heavy body paints, they do take longer to dry than just regular acrylic paints, craft paints. Okay, so I think I think we'll go with this. Well, you know, I'm going to just scrape on just a little bit of the light green, because it will stay. The fluid acrylics and the liquid acrylic ink will both spread out along everywhere, and which is what I want it to do. But I think it would be neat to have some areas on here where the green is not fluid across the image. So, and it just adds another layer, which is what I like doing, and that's my process when it comes. Oops, that's the wrong one. Wrong one. That is my process when I am doing this, when I'm doing mixed media, is I just add a layer, and add layer, and add layers, and add layers, and add layers, and I just kind of keep going until it feels like it's done. So okay, Now I need to dry this layer. That's the most important thing with my process, is drying in between each layer. Okay, so now let's come in with just a little bit of this. And even though it's basically the same color, it's going to behave a whole lot different on these cards. So I'm just going to put a little bit these guys out of the way. Add a little bit of water. Shake off that leftover. All right. So that's the difference between using those two different types of green. So heavy body, and then heavy body with acrylic ink on top of it with some water. And I like to just let the extra drip down, because that's how I get these papers that I use as these backgrounds. Like here, that's where I get these papers from, is things like that. And it's a bonus when I have ones that have where I've used modeling paste, because then that alone adds a whole nother layer of texture. It doesn't take a lot of this, especially since I'm spraying water on it. Okay. And I don't mind the backs of my cards getting dirty. And in my Etsy shop, I always put pictures of the backs of my cards because they get messy, because I use lots of different paints, and I have my hands on them, and my fingers get the messy on the back, and to me that just kind of adds to them, and I don't mind that. But if you do mind that, then for sure don't do it like this. You could put a towel down and drip everything on the towel, and put the towel down every single time that you're doing anything messy like that, and that would help a little bit keep the backs clean. So I'm going to dry this layer. Alright, so thinking I want to use a little bit of this dark. I'm not going to use a whole lot, but it'll just help define some of these leaves a little bit better. I don't think that would be dark enough. And I'm not going to use a lot of this. This is olive green, and it's the FW Artist Acrylic Inks. These guys. Get this out of the way. Okay, so that is how it looks different. Don't want a lot because I don't want to darken these up a whole lot. But I don't know if you can see the difference between the two, how that just really helped define those leaves even more. The nice thing with these is if you get too much on there, don't like it, you can just keep on spraying water on them and pretty much wash it off as long as it's still wet. So that's another reason why I like playing with these. Now I just like having them move around and do their thing. I try not to over mix them. Okay, so now I am going to dry these. While I'm drying it, I just kind of think about what I see going on there next, and for some reason I actually see blue. So just talking about it, I see some sort of blue on here, so I think that's what we'll put next. But sometimes like the next color doesn't come to my mind as quickly, and that's as I'm drying, I just kind of look at them, and if a color comes to my mind that I see that is going to go on there next, that's just what I go with. I really try to listen to that little voice in my head that tells me what color to use next, and I don't question it anymore. I just do it. So that is how I work with anything like this. It's it's all intuitive. I don't have any of it planned out ahead of time. I don't have colors picked out. I don't know nothing. Just as I'm working through it, each step, I kind of see the next color, the next layer that wants to go down. So that's what I usually do when I'm drying. I'm going to get these good and dry. Okay, and just while I've been drying these, I really like this area right there. Get that focus for you. I like how the raised image, the modeling paste, is not completely covered with paint. You can see all the different layers that are going on, how it's puddling and where the cutout was at. That's a really cool spot right there. I like that. Hopefully it won't get covered up, so we will see. So now blue, and I think I'm going to start, well, I always go lighter to darker, so I think I will start with a lighter blue, and then on top of that get my turquoise FW ink. So this is another one of my tried and true colors. It is turquoise in the Daily Rowney FW Artist Acrylic Inks. Let's see what's in here. Kind of thinking I'm gonna do this one. Alright. Just a little bit of this. And I'm not exactly sure where I'm gonna put it. And what I'm gonna put it on with. I think I might use my catalyst here. I don't want a lot of this on there, and I really don't know how much of it's going to be seen, but I just kind of feel like just a little bit here. Just in these flat areas. And the catalyst brush is nice for that because it kind of molds itself around. Since it's flexible, unlike this, where this would really just kind of scrape on it, this gets a little bit flatter application of paint on there. There's some of it goes on top of the leaves, but I kind of feel like just keeping it in these this one a little bit more. All right, and since I'm just going to go ahead and go right on top of these with another shade of blue, I think I'm not going to dry it just yet because, well, I'll dry it a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, I feel like these are getting close to being done. This blue might be the last paint layer that I put on there. So once again, this is Daler Rowney. It's Artist Acrylic Inks in turquoise. And I don't want a ton, but I for sure want it to go around my leaves here. And if I feel like I get too much on there, then I'm just going to spray some extra water. Tap these around really good. Okay. I don't know. I can tell you now that this is not the last layer. I don't think, but now that I see this on here, I don't think this is it. I'm wondering if maybe I might want something a little bit darker on here, but I'm not sure. I'm not seeing it just quite yet. Like how that's nice and bright there too. I don't know if I really want to cover a lot of that up. So just kind of work it around like that. There. All right, let's get this layer dried. Okay. I need to stand here and look at these for a second, figure out what I want to do next. Okay, so it is actually Monday now, and I cannot believe it's taken me this long to do these 4 cards, but it was just kind of a weekend. So my Sundays are usually pretty busy, so it is what it is. It's Monday afternoon. I'm home from one job and getting ready. I've got a few minutes before I have to go to work this evening, and I've had this stuff obviously sitting out here for a few days. I think I'm going to put some white on it, and I like to do this because it'll just kind of lessen this so much, so it's not, I'm really liking this, but I am seeing some white go on it. And I've got a couple options. I can either put some of this on here, which this is just regular craft paint that I got, and it's just mixed with water, so it's all nice and runny, and I use this all the time. I've had this bottle forever. I just keep refilling it. So it's basically kind of like this consistency, but it's just regular craft paint and some water. Or I could also use my catalyst brush and scrape some white over the top. I'm not sure. I kind of want to see what scraping it over would look like. If I did that, I would not try to do on top of a lot of the leaves because I want that to stay the way that it is. But I am still kind of curious. So I might take a little bit of white and do a little bit of scraping on there, and then maybe go on, I don't know. We'll see. It's all just playing around anyway, so let me grab my white. And I've just got golden heavy body acrylic, and this is titanium white that I'm going to use. And obviously I love my heavy body paints. Heavy body are my favorite to work with, and I really love golden, so let's look how pretty this is getting. I'm really liking that. So I'm going to put just a little bit over here. It's not going to take a whole lot, probably. And I'm going to use the catalyst brush again so that I can kind of just get in here in a little bit. And if I don't like this, then I'm just going to take a wet washcloth and wipe it off. So it's not, you know, if I don't like it, it's okay. So, alright. And that just kind of really just helps just push all those layers back a little bit. I used to do like just solid bright colors of things all the time. That was pretty much my mixed media style. And here, these past few years, I've really been drawn to not having it as bright and crazy. I've kind of gotten to where I really appreciate having some sort of white on there, some sort of white space. And I think that's why I'm feeling the need now to add some white on here, just to kind of tone it down just a little bit. Right there. So it's neat how it's really picking up on those little die cut places, and even the edges of those pieces of red, of the red cardstock, adds a little bit of something on there. So let's see. All right, I'm going to dry that just a little bit. Okay, so now let's put just a little bit of this white on here. Don't want a lot, but just a little bit. Well, probably way more than what I was planning on. So there's the difference between the two. I'm curious to see these in the daytime. I know I say that anytime I'm working on any painting projects. My lighting in here is so awful, and it's just really a guessing game as to what some of these actually look like out in the daylight. So even though I've got lights around me, I know that these actually are probably a little bit more vivid than how they feel right now. Okay. And I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, I was thinking about this and I was moving some things around and came across my gold leaf. And I think I'm going to actually add some of that on here. So let's get these dry. And we might go ahead and add some of that on now. So while I was drying these, I actually saw more hot pink on there. And I think what I might do, because I'm trying to use some of my supplies that I haven't used in a while, I think I might get my gelatos out. So I've got these guys, had them forever. I'm going to use this hot pink one. Just kind of rub it around here, and I'm just going to see what happens. I don't know if this is going to work for what I kind of saw in my head, but hey, at least I'm going to try. I didn't know if it was going to be this product to use or some of my fluid acrylics. I've got that hot pink fluid acrylic that I could use also. And I think I will, I'm going to try my water brush here and see how this does, because I don't necessarily want this to run everywhere, but I just want it to stay around the edges of these leaves. I almost said flowers, of these leaves, to kind of help them come out a bit more. And I'm not even trying to make sure that I get all of the gelato like wet. There's definitely some parts here that where it's not gotten fully wet, like right there. So there's actually a little bit of a difference between the wet look and where it's creamier, I guess. Okay, you can see that for sure right here. So that's where it's still thick as the crayon, and then around it is where I got it wet and activated it with water. Alright, try that. So the thing with using those gelatos though is that they will reactivate with water, so I need to keep that in mind, and I'm probably getting close to that being the last like really wet layer, because anything that I put on top of there, if I decided to like drizzle some of the white paint on there, it's gonna reactivate that pink and cause it to turn that white a little bit pink. But I think I'm gonna grab my oh gosh, I've got it on the tip of my tongue. I can't think. Oh, the gold leaf. All right, gold leaf. So this is what I got, and I did get some of the adhesive because I use it. I use this. I've been trying to use this a bit on my canvases that I've worked on, but I think it'll look really cool having it on here. And what we do with this is you actually put the adhesive on and let it dry, and then lay the gold leaf on top. So I'm just gonna, if I can, hopefully this hasn't glued itself shut. I guess it has. It's been a while since I've used it. Yeah, it's got itself plugged up inside there. There. I'm just gonna randomly kind of brush this on here. We'll see what happens. All right, so this has to dry. So I'll go ahead and I'm gonna push it along and hit it with the heat gun here so that we don't have to wait. Okay, so this is pretty much dry. And it's tacky, so that's the way it's supposed to be. So I'm gonna get a dry, clean brush. Okay. All right, I think there might be parts of one in here, I'm not sure. Nope. And I like kind of tearing pieces off and just kind of doing this, letting it stick where it feels like I'm not really trying to cover up all of the spaces that had it on there. Because I know and I can tell, especially with rubbing the brush on, that there's places on there that have adhesive on it that I did not get any gold leaf on, and that's okay. I don't want to cover up everything that I just did. And I like using my hands. I know a lot of people use a brush to place it on there. Okay. Might try to take off what's on extra on this one and use it on this one. Alright, that just adds just a little bit, not a little bit, quite a bit. That just adds a little something on these. It makes them a little bit special. Let's see. I think that's good. I really just try to keep it random. I don't want it to look intentional, except for that piece right there. Just wanted a little bit hanging off the edge there, kind of. Okay, get this put away. And I got this at Michael's. I do not remember how much it was. I don't know if there was a price tag on it. Well, this is $8.99, and I did get this at Michael's. They had some that were flakes also, so be sure to look at the package, because if you don't want flakes, then these are the sheets. All right, let me get this in the water. I think I am going to just a little bit around a couple of these leaves. This is my Stabilo all pencil. There we go. These are water soluble. You could also use a like watercolor pencil would work. You could even use, well, you could use some Neocolor 2s. You could, you know, use a water brush or a paintbrush to collect some of the color off of there. If you didn't have any of those, you could even just use some watered down acrylic paint and use a paintbrush to go around the edges lightly, just to give it just another thing to kind of pull these leaves out a bit. And I need to be careful because this is going to, by me using the water brush on here, it's going to activate the pink gelatos that I used. Alright, so where's my, there we go. Just really quickly, really lightly. If you feel like it's too dark, then you can keep on adding a little bit of water on there. And I'm just kind of rubbing it. I'm not necessarily painting, using it like a paintbrush. Just kind of scratching it on there a little bit. Because once again, I don't want it to necessarily look perfect. I just want it to add that little bit of shadow around some of these leaves. If you want, you can add a little bit more. Okay, I think these are about done. Last thing I always do, no matter what it feels like, is I add some splatters. To me, that just really finishes things off. So I'm going to dry this really quick, and then I think we finally might be done with these cards. Let me get this dry. Okay, so then for my splattering, I use this because it's already mixed up. It's a perfect consistency. I've got a little plastic food cup that I recycled from Taco Bell probably, and I prefer to use a fan brush to make my splatters. Okay. And I'm gonna do these one at a time. I have kind of a controlled splatter type technique that I like to do. I a lot of times kind of like it just like maybe in the corners or maybe just on one side where it's a little bit thicker than the others. Let me zoom you in just a little bit so you can see better. Alright. So I think with this one, for sure I'm going to do over here on this corner. A lot of times wherever it's, maybe since I've got white on here, where there's more white, I might add a little bit more splatters, since that's kind of where the white is, and that the splatters are just kind of an extension of that already white area. So you see that down here where it's white. There we go. I have them a bit thicker. There's more. And then it's less here. And then a little bit more up there in the corner. So I might do kind of close to the same on this one. And I just tap it with my finger. I just really like the look that these little splatters give. It really finishes all of it off for me. It just kind of brings all of those layers that we've been putting down and just kind of settles them down into one. And so I really, really like adding these splatters on stuff. I usually just do white. There are times when I'll do other colors, but here lately, I've really just been doing mostly white. But you can do whatever color that you want. This has got a big space, so I'll probably really focus on extra there. A little bit there. All right. That's good. This is what we got going on. You can see how that even just like pressed down the gold leaf. It just makes it all just kind of come down together to be one. It's a little bit paint in there. I haven't forgot about my journal here. So let's see. Okay, leave that open so it can dry. And we'll get these guys dry. And one final step, and then we will be finished. Let's get these dry first. Okay, so I need to find one more thing. Okay, so I've got a black permanent ink pad that just good old black, and I like to go around the edges just really gently. And it's just another one of those things that to me just kind of finishes it off. Purely optional. I'm also just gonna really, really lightly, this is kind of a juicy one, so you can brush across the top a little bit. Again, I've had the dropsies all day long. You can kind of darken it up in the corner a little bit more. But it just gives it a little bit of a finished edge, so that's how they look side by side. So this has the ink and this one doesn't. So just another one of those little things that I've just always kind of done. It doesn't have to be a lot, but sure it just comes from my days of being a rubber stamper, and we always went around the edges on things with different colored ink pads. All right, well, I think we might be done. I'm really curious to go see these outside. The black will smudge a bit. Okay. All right, well, I think we got it. I think we got these finished. I'm going to take these outside, see what they look like, and get some pictures, and I'll put them at the end of this. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please ask. And yeah, I mean, I know that I've been doing a lot of this on these little cards, but this is my exact same process that I do whenever I work in my art journal like this. It's all pretty much the same, how I put down the different layers and whatnot. So I actually need to get this one done. I think I've only got a couple of spreads left that don't have something on them. So I've had this journal going forever, forever, forever and ever and ever. So it'd be nice to get this one finally finished. So yeah, if you got any questions, please ask. And, you know, I guess my question for you is on a lot of these cards, and I do have some in my Etsy, and I'm getting ready to upload a bunch, and I have a bunch that I need to finish off. But do you like them plain, or do you like whenever I add the words to them? I don't know if I have any in here that have words on them. I don't think I do. A lot of times I add book text onto the cards, and it just kind of, that's just another one of those things that I've just always done. So I like having the text on there, and I just go through books and pick out words and phrases that just kind of seem like they want to be on that page, on these little cards. I guess they might kind of be like little affirmation cards, or just, I'm not sure, little feelings cards or something like that. But I've always been curious as to what people like, if they like the words on there, if they rather not have the words on there at all. So that's my question to you, and so just be sure to leave me, if you have an opinion on that. I would love to hear it, and just leave it down in the comments. And I hope y'all are having a wonderful day, and thank you for being here with me. And even though it took us, what, 4 days to get 4 cards done. So take care, everybody. I love you so much, and creative blessings to each and every one of you. Bye.